The sun hasn't risen yet, but the sky is bleeding pale lavender across the desert horizon. The town of Copper Creek is already awake. Bootsteps echo on dry boards. Whispers crawl through alleys and under saloon doors. They're hanging a woman at sunrise. Said she gutted a man like a deer. Boone's girl. Never trusted that one. A crooked wooden sign creaks above the sheriff's office, paint long faded, the justice barely legible beneath layers of dirt and disappointment. Inside, Clara Boone stands barefoot on a cold stone floor. Her dress, once blue calico, is torn at the hem and stained with dried blood and desert dust. Her wrists bear raw rope burns, her cheeks are sunken, her lips chapped, but her eyes, still sharp, still burning. She doesn't blink when the preacher enters, doesn't flinch when he mumbles his prayers beside her, crossing himself as though trying to protect himself, not her. Outside, the gallows creak with the weight of the noose swaying gently in the wind. A storm is gathering. Clara Boone once rode, beside her husband, Samuel Boone, across wide stretches of yellow grass. They had dreams of growing orchards, apples, apricots. Life, not just survival. Their ranch sat just west of the Red Hollow Ridge, on land too rich for its own good. A parcel inherited from Clara's father, a quiet man who once brokered peace between ranchers and native tribes. Then came Jebediah Klein, a land baron with polished boots, silver cufflinks, and poison in his smile. He wanted the ridge, made offers, threats. And when that didn't work, one night Samuel was shot on his way back from town. 3 days later, Klein showed up on Clara's porch. She didn't answer the door. She didn't scream. She just stepped outside, with her father's Winchester rifle in hand. Only one of them. Walked away. "You prayin' yet?" the sheriff asks, leaning on the iron bars with the nonchalance of a man who's seen too much to care. Clara doesn't answer. Her voice is buried too deep beneath the dust and betrayal. She turns her head toward the corner where a piece of tin leans against the wall, bent just enough to catch her reflection. Her face looks older now, not from age, but from silence. She leans close, speaking to the girl in the metal. "You didn't cry when they lowered Sam into the ground. You didn't cry when they said you'd swing for what he did. Don't cry now." The air smells of ash and ozone. A storm brews above the desert. The townsfolk gather in silence. Some clutch their hats. Others chew nervously on toothpicks. A few kids climb onto barrels for a better look. Clara is led up the gallows with no ceremony. Her hair hangs in dark, tangled ropes. The boards beneath her feet creak. The preacher clears his throat, struggling against the wind. "Let this be the Lord's justice. For blood spilled, may blood be shed. Do you have any last words, Clara Boone?" She lifts her chin slightly. Her mouth opens, then shuts. What's the use? She's made peace with it. This town doesn't want truth. They want a ghost to bury. The sheriff steps forward and adjusts the noose. He's not cruel about it. Just tired. Thunder rumbles overhead. The preacher begins to speak again, but no one's listening. Because suddenly every dog in town starts barking. Every horse whinnies. And then, hoofbeats. Slow. Steady. Like a war drum rolling from the edge of the world. One rider, no posse, no flag. Just dust and silence and death riding in on 4 legs. The crowd parts. Mothers pull children close. The sheriff freezes, one hand still on the rope. Through the stormlight, he appears. A man in black, duster coat trailing behind him like torn wings. A wide-brimmed hat shadows his face. 2 revolvers hang low on his hips, silver glinting like fangs. He rides a black stallion with eyes like burning coals. Someone whispers, breathless, "That's Colt McAllister." Inside the gallows platform, Clara watches. She squints through the dust. She's heard the name before. Once Sam mentioned it, back when they were young and reckless. "Colt's a ghost," he said. "He shows up when death's due. Leaves a trail of dead men and broken laws. Now that ghost is riding toward her, and he's not stopping." Colt steps closer. Smells like gunpowder and horses. He leans in. His lips barely move. Play along, if you want to live. Clara stares at him, her hands still bound, rope itching, her throat. She nods, just once. Colt reins in at the steps of the gallows. He says nothing, just dismounts with a slow, deliberate motion. His spurs chime with each step up the platform. The sheriff grips his rifle but doesn't raise it. "You got business here, McAllister?" Colt's voice is low, measured. "I do." He reaches into his coat and pulls out a folded paper. "Clara Boone is my bride. We were married 3 nights ago in Carson City. I've come for my wife." The sheriff blinks. She's a prisoner. She's my bride." Colt holds the paper in the air, stamped, signed, forged. Probably, but no one in Copper Creek is going to argue with a man who once shot 3 Pinkertons through a church door. Colt steps closer. Smells like gunpowder and horses. He leans in. His lips barely move. "Play along, if you want to live." Clara stares at him, her hands still bound, rope itching her throat. She nods, just once. The sheriff mutters to the preacher. Voices rise. The crowd murmurs, but no one steps forward because they've all heard the same stories. He put a man in the ground for spitting too close to his horse, shot a marshal, and buried him upright with a Bible in his hand. The preacher finally sighs, "Let her go." Colt steps behind Clara, draws a blade from his belt. With one clean motion, he slices through the rope. She nearly collapses, but he catches her, doesn't speak, doesn't smile, just lifts her onto the saddle like a sack of beans. Then he swings, up behind her, turns the horse, and without a word, rides out of Copper Creek. Behind them, the gallows sway empty in the wind. The crowd remains silent. The storm breaks. Rain begins to fall. But ahead of them, out beyond the ridge, only dry desert awaits. Clara doesn't know this man, doesn't know his plan. But she knows this much. He came when no one else would, and for now, that's enough. A hush falls over the town square as the man in black walks through the storm like he owns it. Colt McAllister. Whispers ripple like wildfire. Through the crowd. That's him. Colt McAllister. Killed 5 men in El Paso. Walked away without a scratch. Said he once dueled a marshal at high noon and didn't blink. Mothers pulled children behind their skirts. Men who were clutching pistols now think better of it. He walks with deliberate calm, each step punctuated by the jangle of his spurs. The black horse behind him snorts, its eyes burning like coals in the morning gloom. The sheriff's hand twitches, near his holster, but he doesn't draw. Colt stops at the top step, looks Clara Boone dead in the eyes, then turns to the crowd. His voice cuts through the dawn like a blade. "She's mine." The sheriff squints. "She's due for the noose, McAllister. What's this nonsense?" Colt doesn't blink. "She's my wife. Got married 3 nights ago. Carson City. Reverend Jameson. Here's the proof." He holds out a folded parchment, stamped, signed, smelling of whiskey and fire. The preacher steps forward and glances at the paper. His eyes widen. "Well, it looks official." The sheriff frowns, but doesn't argue. Not with Colt McAllister. Clara stands still, the rope still itching. Against her throat, her eyes lock with Colt's. She's never seen this man before, not once. But something in his eyes, steel, but not cruel, keeps her from asking questions. He steps close, barely moves his lips. "Play along if you want to live." And then, he slices the rope with a flick of his blade. She nearly falls, knees, weak from rope burn and hunger. Colt catches her, not gently, but firmly, like she's a task, not a prize. Still she breathes, first real breath in days. "Now wait just a damn." Colt turns, just his eyes. "You want to hang a married woman? In front of God and her husband?" Silence. Not even the sheriff wants to finish that sentence. The preacher crosses himself again. "Let them go. By law, she's his now." Colt lifts Clara onto, his black stallion swinging up behind her. The townsfolk part like the Red Sea. Then, thunder cracks. The stallion rears, Dust kicks up in spirals, and they're gone, galloping eastward into the wild. Two younger deputies give chase, pistols drawn. Clara feels the wind tear through her hair. Her body sways, half conscious, half stunned. Colt turns in the saddle, fires once. The shot hits the dirt inches from a deputy's horse. They stop. Colt never looks back, he just rides. An hour later, they slow. The desert stretches endlessly around them, red rock and sagebrush bathed in morning gold. Clara's voice cracks through the wind. Who are you? Colt answers without turning his head. Someone who owed your husband a debt. Clara swallows. You knew Sam? Saved my life once, that's all I'll say. By sundown, they reach a narrow river. Cottonwoods rustle in the breeze. Birds cry overhead. Colt ties the horse, builds a small fire, keeps his back to her the whole time. He tosses her a strip of jerky, a canteen of water, says nothing. Clara doesn't eat right away, just watches him. His coat is dusted in blood and mud. He moves like a man who's never slept a full night. She doesn't know whether to run, fight, or thank him. She considers slipping into the dark, but she sees his revolver, sitting beside him. Not in his hand, but close enough. And she sees his hands too, steady, calloused, but tonight, they tremble just slightly. She doesn't sleep, neither does he. Sometime after midnight, she hears him whisper, not to her, but to the horse. You did good, Mercy. Real good. We'll rest for a day or two, then we'll take her home. Clara lies still, pretending to sleep, listening. The tone he uses, it's soft. Softer than anything he said to her. There's sorrow in it. Something broken. This man, the most feared, gunslinger in the territory, talks to his horse like it's the last friend he's got left in the world. Why would you help me? He doesn't move. Didn't do it for you. She waits for more. But that's all he gives. Morning dew clings to the grass. Clara finally takes a bite of jerky, washes it down, watches Colt stir the embers, then roll. His own cigarette, she studies him now, not as a killer, but as a puzzle. There's something in his silence, a history, a wound, and maybe a promise. He finally speaks, still looking at the fire. You think I rescued you? He glances at her. Just once. You don't know what you're walking into. The morning sun paints the canyon red as Colt and Clara ride side by side, silence hanging thick between them. Up ahead, nestled against the hills, is Dead Horse Ridge, once Clara's family land, once a place of harvest and home. Now, smoke curls. From the rooftops, shadows move across fences once built by her father's hands. Armed men, at least a dozen. Hired guns, Colt mutters. They don't work cheap. Means someone real rich wants you gone. Clara narrows her eyes. The Baron's brother. Can't let go of what he never owned. She grips the saddle tighter, voice flat with fury. They camp just outside the ridge, behind a cluster of boulders. Coyotes howl in the distance. Clara wraps a blanket around her shoulders, staring into the fire. Colt sits across from her, sharpening a knife. You used to ride with them, didn't you? He doesn't answer at first. Then he nods. Wasn't always a good man. Rode for the Klein brothers. Back when I didn't know better. Clara studies him. What changed? He stops sharpening, looks at the flames. Your husband, Sam, saved me from a bullet meant for him. Could have left me to die, but he dragged me out of a riverbed and patched me up. He tosses the knife aside. Said if I wanted to live different, I should start by helping someone who deserved better. His eyes finally meet hers. So here I am. She sees it now. The twitch in his hands, the scar along his ribs, the way he flinches at every far-off sound. She's not the only one with ghosts. Not the only one who's been left behind. Thank you, she whispers. Colt doesn't nod, doesn't speak, but he looks at her with something soft. Not love. Respect. Two survivors recognizing each other. They leave their horse tied near a dry creek bed and crawl through the sagebrush. The moon casts silver light over the ranch house. Clara's heart beats wild in her chest, They reach the barn, hear voices. Keep watching the road. She'll come back eventually. What if she's dead already? Then we hang her body like a banner. Colt's hand goes to his revolver. Clara grips the knife he gave her. Her father's land, her husband's memory, her life, all of it. Right here. A plank creaks underfoot. A voice shouts, "They're here!" Gunfire explodes. Colt fires first. Clean, precise. One man drops. Another fires back, bullet slicing through the air and slamming into Colt's side. He crumples behind a trough, clutching his ribs. "Colt!" She rushes to him, but he growls, "Don't stop, finish this." She grabs his revolver. Her hands shake. Another man rushes toward them, gun drawn. She pulls the trigger. The shot echoes. The man stumbles, drops to his knees. Then another figure steps out of the shadows. Dale Klein, the Baron's brother. "You think you can just walk back in here, Boone? You think this land still belongs to you?" Clara lifts the revolver again, aims with both hands. It never stopped. She fires. The bullet hits his leg. He screams, collapses. Through the gun smoke, figures emerge. Townspeople from Copper Creek, drawn by the noise. Among them, the sheriff. He sees Clara standing, blood on her dress, gun in her hand, Colt bleeding at her feet. He doesn't speak, just nods once. Looks like justice came around after all. They carry Colt inside, patch him up as best they can. He doesn't say much, just rests, eyes half open. Clara sits beside him. "You're not staying, are you?" He smiles faintly. "I don't belong in places like this." He reaches into his coat, pulls out a glove, black leather, worn smooth, sets it on the table beside her. Then a folded note. Clara wakes alone. Outside, the land is quiet. She finds the note, reads it. "You were never mine to save, you were yours all along." She holds the glove to her chest, and for the first time she cries. Not for him, not for Sam, but because for the first time in years, she finally feels free. Weeks pass. The ranch fence is mended, the fields cleared. She plants wildflowers where the gallows once stood in her dreams. The townsfolk visit, some help, some stay quiet, but none call her a witch anymore. Children wave when they pass the ridge, and when someone asks, "Aren't you the woman who was nearly hanged?" she smiles. No, that woman's gone. If you believe justice sometimes rides in from the dust, give this story a like, and if you've ever had to fight for your place in the world, subscribe. We've got more tales just like this.